Hello. Hey, so I'm working on a Garden of Banban video, and it's taking a while. So um thought I'd pop in here really quick and give you something to digest in the meantime. I feel like I've been a little negative with the content lately, so let's talk about a game that I do like. Ain't that a concept? One Night at Flumpty's. What an interesting little game. And honestly, it's probably one of my favorite fan games right now. Is it the most creative thing I've seen? No, but that doesn't mean that it isn't still pretty damn creative, and it's a bit of an original idea for this genre, I do have to admit. It doesn't seem like it hides the fact that there really isn't much in terms of narrative, so this is just a mechanics and gameplay game, which, hey, I'm fine with that. Once you actually understand them, the mechanics are pretty simple, not too complicated at all, but the difficulty of this game is discovering those mechanics in the first place, which, honestly, I don't mind. The art style is unique, simple, pretty clean, and it looks like it's all drawn, so damn, fucking props. And the gameplay really doesn't overstay its welcome either. Instead of 5 nights, we have, as the name suggests, one night that gets progressively harder as the night goes on. But you don't really notice the difficulty curve all that much because you pick up the pace as the difficulty increases. And as I said, most of the difficulty is discovering what the mechanics are, since the game expects you to figure it out for yourself. Which, again, I don't mind. The game was originally released 8 years ago, but it got an update 3 years ago, as did 2 and 3, so alright, I like these guys. But, like I said, there isn't much to go over in terms of narrative, because there isn't much of one to begin with. Flumpty is an egg that is immune to the plot, can transcend time and space, and he kidnapped the player because he felt like it and wanted a friend. I like it. Simple, easy to remember. But, like, that's it. There isn't much for me to talk about in that regard, so I guess I can talk about the mechanics themselves. The mechanics are tied to each character present in the game, and again, they're pretty simple and straightforward, but the game doesn't tell you what the mechanics are, so you have to spend a good amount of time guessing. So we'll start with the main guy, Flumpty. Pretty simple and has an equally simple path. From start to finish, his path is camera 1, then either 2A or 2B, and then 4, and then your office. If you don't see him on the camera, he will more than likely be at your door. But if you do not see him on the cameras, and he's not at your door, then he's in the same room with the red man, who we'll talk about in a minute. Next up is Birthday Boy Blam, the boxhead dude you see with Flumpty on camera 1. Just like Flumpty, he's also pretty simple. He will start in camera 1, then go to 4, 2B, and then your office. For both of these guys, just like Bonnie and Chica, just close the doors until you see them on the cameras again. I believe once you counter them, they'll both reset to cam 1. Alright, the red man. He will be in camera 3 at the start of the game, and he will not move until 3 AM. So for the first 2 hours, you are just dealing with Flumpty and the boxhead dude. Whatever room the red man is in, the camera feed for that room will be replaced with red static. This means you will only actually see him once he's at your door. And like Flumpty, he goes to the left door. And also just like Flumpty, you counter him by closing the door. However, with him, you will need to keep the door closed for a while. After enough time has passed, he will return to camera 3. In hard-boiled mode, he's active almost immediately and will repeatedly appear at the left door throughout the night. Grunkfus the Clown, he's a bit of an odd mechanic to figure out on your own. So, he'll appear in the hole in the office wall at 4 AM. Each time you flip up the camera, he will become more and more visible. And if this occurs a total of 30 times, he will attack you. In hard-boiled mode, he will become active at 2 a.m. rather than 4 a.m. Now, keeping track of the clown can be a little tedious, especially when you're trying to keep an eye on everything else. Fortunately, there is also a mechanic that can help you track how close you are to the clown attacking you in Camera 5, and that would be the character lovingly called Eyesore. I love these names, man. So unlike the other characters, fucking Eyesore doesn't try to kill you. Like I said, he helps you track the clown. Eyesore has 30 eyes. At 4 o'clock when the clown spawns, every time you flip the cameras up, an eye will close. Once all the eyes are closed, the clown will attack the next time you drop the cameras. Next up is the beaver in camera 6 sitting on the toilet reading a newspaper. This is our Foxy reject. At 1 a.m., he stops reading his newspaper and becomes active by staring at the camera. You'll notice there's a roll of toilet paper next to the beaver that will get smaller and eventually run out. This is your attack stage monitor. If you don't watch the beaver often enough, he will run out of toilet paper and come up to politely tell you about it. If you don't look at him enough and he is no longer in camera 6, that means he will be coming for you and you should immediately close the right door to block him. Now, just like Foxy, you have two options. You can either drop the camera and immediately shut the door, or you can pop one over to camera 2B where you will see him running to you. And as a funny side note, his legs become knives on this camera. Anyway, close the door or he'll kill you. And, like Foxy again, he'll knock on the door and drain power in the form of more toilet paper. And now that leaves us with Golden Flumpty, and you can guess how he works. To no surprise, he acts like Golden Freddy and has a chance of randomly appearing late in the night. If he appears, simply flip up the monitor. On hardboil mode, he becomes active at 3 a.m. I don't remember if Golden Flumpty appears in normal mode or if he is exclusive to fucking hardboiled mode. I can't get over these names, man. But all I know is that I never saw him on my run. But regardless, those are all the mechanics. I mean, beyond all of this, there really isn't much for me to say. It's a pretty solid game that works better than most fan games you'll see on here. Its mechanics are solid, there's some humor in it, it has a creative and unique take on the FNAF fan games thing. It's not a setting that you typically see, and it takes itself about as seriously as I would expect a parody game would. So now, I guess really the only question for me to ask is...
Actually really well done because the rules are forcing me to check the camera to see if they're done, so I have to check the camera to make sure I know where they are.
Is that actually true? Do I have to be in the cameras, or can I beat the whole game while being in the cameras as little as possible? Well, you know. Yes. Yes, I can. Absolutely. I will say the fact that the game doesn't have audio cues does make it a little bit more difficult, but far from impossible. And that's something that I've noticed in a lot of these older fan games. There's just no mechanics that force you to really be in the cameras for long periods of time, so you can just not do that and save power. The cameras are almost completely optional. And running out of power was never an issue for me.
Actually really well done because the rules are forcing me to check the camera to see if they're done, so I have to check the camera to make sure I know where they are.
It really doesn't, though, but I mean, that's my playstyle, so, you know. Anyway, yeah, overall, solid game. No complaints from me. Short, simple, and it's free on Game Jolt. Give the dev some love. Play it. Alright, I'm gonna get back to work. See ya.